Sasuke and his leaving the village to seek revenge served as one of the base motivations for the entirety of Shippuden's non-filler story arc, or what we in the biz like to call the canon storyline. In the story, Sasuke's lust for revenge led him to search for his brother and fight him to the death. But just when we thought everything was peachy and fine for Sasuke to finally return to the village, Sasuke was hit with the revelation that maybe Itachi did nothing wrong. Maybe Konoha strong-armed him into doing something he didn't want to do, and this led to a new revenge arc against Konoha itself. Sasuke, having had the truth revealed to him, gave into the need for revenge, and set course to destroy Konoha. But this was slowed down heavily when Sasuke met with Itachi again, all because Naruto carried a sleeper Kotoamatsukami with him that freed Itachi. But what if that didn't happen? What if Itachi was never free? And even if he did tell Sasuke the truth about his decision, what if Sasuke simply discarded it? Well, let's get into it and see what could have happened if Sasuke decided to stay evil. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you're subscribed, and with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Come alone. That's all the notes said. It was definitely in Shisui's handwriting. There were certain cues Itachi was trained to look for. What was as important as checking to make sure all of the I's were dotted and T's were crossed in the original writer's own style was the need to ensure that it wasn't perfect. The true secret to making sure that it was your friend sending the letter was to ensure that the handwriting wasn't too perfect. Someone who had studied how your friend might write would try too hard to make it perfect and result in an almost unrealistically clean recreation of your friend's style. And that was a dead giveaway that few actually paid attention to. But as Itachi once more looked over the message, he could tell it was Shisui's handwriting. But the strokes seemed too quick, like he was in a hurry as he wrote the letter. Something was clearly wrong here, and Itachi didn't yet know what it was. Whatever it was, Itachi feared it. All the same, he decided to meet up with Shisui in their regular meeting spot. As he passed through the branches and trees, headed for the Naka River, Itachi continuously questioned to himself whether this was possibly a trap. He looked down at his shuriken pouch. He was prepared for just such an occasion, and simply because he suspected it, he knew that his enemy would at the very least lose their biggest advantage, which was surprise. So far, he didn't see anything overly suspicious, but he suspected that if anyone were attempting to set a trap for him, then they would have remembered his Sharingan and set precautions. Looking back at the paper, he witnessed what he believed to be blood on the end. Whether this was Shisui's or the crows that carried the message to him, Itachi did not know, but all the same, he continued on his way. Trap or not, Shisui needed him urgently, that much was clear. As he passed through the trees, he heard the distant sound of rushing water. Itachi landed in the start of a clearing. There he saw Shisui standing, all alone, face toward the sheer drop. Itachi stood there for a moment, looking around in search of any sign of someone nearby, no matter how small or insignificant. "If you're searching for a possible trap, don't bother, we're alone," Shisui said in a simple fashion. Itachi looked back to Shisui. "What's this about?" Shisui turned back to face Itachi. It was then that Itachi saw it. Shisui's eye was closed, and blood was dripping from the pressed lids. "Shisui, your eye." Shisui raised his hand slightly to touch the socket. To be frank, his body was still in shock from the brutal ripping of a very important part. His hand was shaky. No matter of training could prepare a person to completely ignore such a traumatic event. But all the same, it wasn't yet finished. He looked to Itachi. "He stole it, Itachi." "Who stole it?" "Danzo Shimura," Shisui said. "Danzo stole my eye. We never should have informed the council of what we were doing. We should have just done it ourselves." "But if we haven't, there's no telling. The Anbu could have already attacked us." Shisui shook his head. "Danzo was scared of us. He didn't trust us and believed that we would use the Kotoamatsukami to take over the village. So he stole my eye to keep me from casting that technique. He tried to get my other eye too, but I managed to escape. Just barely." Itachi was shocked by this news. He shook his head. No matter. You still have your Kotoamatsukami as well as your Susanoo. You've lost very little in the way of things. We'll get your other eye back, I promise. What matters now is stopping the Uchiha Council from voting to coup." Shisui shook his head. "It's too late for that now, Itachi. I won't be able to cast the Genjutsu." "What? Didn't you tell me that you still had access to the Kotoamatsukami in your left eye?" Shisui nodded. "I do, but I can't cast my technique. While I can cast a version of the Kotoamatsukami from my left eye, it has a ridiculous cooldown. I've only used it once since I acquired my Mangekyo, and I wish I hadn't, because now it won't be ready to be used again for years, as opposed to my other Mangekyo, which can cast it once every few hours." "Well, how much time is left on your Mangekyo's cooldown?" Itachi asked. Shisui shook his head with a smile. I'd say about 9 or 10 more years. Itachi rubbed his face in stress. It's okay, we'll find another way, we just gotta get your eye back. Shisui shook his head. If we attack Danzo, he'll consider it an act of treason by the whole Uchiha clan, and kill every man, woman, and child. Besides that, he's guarded it too well. We would never even get close. My eye's gone, we've just gotta accept that. Itachi wanted to act out, to lash out against this injustice, but he maintained composure. What do we do? Shisui looked down. Our last chance, our final hope is that you can awaken it too. I can tell when I look into your eyes what type of technique you will awaken when you awaken your Mangekyo, Itachi. I see a never-ending passion, and a loyalty so deep that the flame will never go out. I sense the technique of your bloodline, Amaterasu. But your other technique, it's going to be a genjutsu like mine. I can only pray you awaken Kotoamatsukami. Well, then all we have to do is awaken my Mangekyo, Itachi said. We need a plan to do that. I already have one, Shisui said. The Mangekyo only awakens when you face loss. These techniques aren't free. They only come when you exchange something you love for them. The cost is equal to the technique. Then how will we unlock it, Itachi asks. Shisui smiles. He then raises his hand to his left eye. He grunts. What are you doing? Stop, Itachi calls out. In that moment, Shisui is completely blind. Itachi. Sacrifice. You need to learn to understand sacrifice. That's what love is. Love is like a Mangekyo. Love is shown through sacrifice. Sacrifice of the things you enjoy and care about in exchange for someone else. To sacrifice one's own life for another is the highest form of love. Allow my love for the village and my clan to awaken that Mangekyo in you. Shisui then crushed the Mangekyo in his hand. Itachi knew what Shisui was about to do. He rushed after him. Shisui, no! He tried to grab on, but Shisui was quick and possessed a head start. Before Itachi could catch him, Shisui jumped from the cliff and fell straight down into the river. He didn't even try to break his fall. No, he lay flat on his back when he struck just to ensure that he died upon impact. Itachi lay, arm extended over the edge of the cliff, still reaching out, as if somehow he could still catch his friend. It was then that Itachi realized that Shisui, his best friend, was gone. Dead. In that moment, love and hate collided in his heart, forming a singularity. A causal nexus that showed Itachi the truth of the world, that happiness and sorrow all existed on the same spectrum, and that the things one loved could also cause them pain, and vice versa. His eyes mutated into Mangekyo as tears rolled down his cheeks. Gritting his teeth so hard that he seemed to have bitten into his tongue unknowingly, he began to roar in rage and sorrow at the loss of his best friend. In that moment, so many things passed through Itachi's head. Kill everyone. Kill every member of the Konoha Council. Kill Danzo. Kill Root, kill Anbu. And as he tried to quell those thoughts, he had another set. Throw yourself off too. Kill yourself, this world is too cruel. He then recalled what Orochimaru had told him of how fleeting and meaningless life was, and that the only reason one lived was the reason they gave themselves. And right now, Itachi was struggling to find that reason. Why was I born? Just to see this? Just to suffer? As if the spirit of Shisui wrapped its arms around him in a brotherly hug, he heard a voice in his head very different from his own internal voice. You were born to sacrifice everything for the ones you love most. Itachi sat in his chair thinking on these things. He looked down at his black cloak with the red clouds and upon his scarlet ring. In the end, he hadn't awakened the Kotoamatsukami. He awakened the Tsukiyomi instead, and due to the fact that they worked so differently, it couldn't actually change people's way of thinking. Simply locked them in a dream of whatever Itachi wanted them to dream. Perhaps Itachi himself had been locked in a dream as well. Whatever the case was, he had fought to save Sasuke, and saved him he had. But only after sacrificing his clan, family, and conscience. And now Sasuke couldn't even know that sacrifice. Sasuke was coming to kill him as they spoke, and when he did, he'd be hailed as a hero. Sasuke would forget all about him. Konoha would forget about him. It would be like he never lived at all. Itachi almost wanted to cry about this. He would die without honor and be forgotten. Maybe he deserved it, but he couldn't help but feel shaken that his life practically meant nothing. It never meant anything and would never mean anything. Itachi was a failed experiment from birth, born with such high potential, all of it gone to waste because of his failures. I'm sorry, Shisui. I failed you. It wasn't much longer after this that Sasuke appeared before Itachi. Itachi looked up at his brother to see the 3 Tomoe Sharingan looking back at him. Itachi attempted to hype himself up within his head. Alright, time to put the mask on again. Time to play the part of the villain. My final performance. Make it look good, Itachi. Itachi stood and prepared to face Sasuke. The two spoke for a short time about their perceived desires and needs. Itachi would attempt to cast Tsukiyomi, slightly disappointed that Sasuke had not achieved the Mangekyo Sharingan. Truth be known, this told Itachi all he needed to know. But Sasuke had yet to awaken it, which meant that he had not made friends. How disappointing. All the same, this didn't change Sasuke's potential. He easily cast aside Tsukiyomi, a Mangekyo level technique, easily pushed away by a base Sharingan. How preposterous. How glorious. Konoha was in good hands now. The battle broke out onto the roof, where all the stops were pulled out, down to every strength. Itachi would have lost so many times already if it weren't for that Susanoo. Sasuke's power had grown considerably, and he had proven why he was just as worthy of being the son of Fugaku. In a moment, Orochimaru attempted to take control via the seal on Sasuke's shoulder, but Itachi managed to seal him and it away with his blade of Totsuka. And now, as the battle was drawing to a close, Sasuke was out of chakra and ideas. Itachi had technically beaten him, but as he turned to speak, he felt something snap inside of him. Something had broken. Something important. He coughed and a tsunami of blood rolled from his mouth, crashing against the palm of his hand. Itachi looked up at Sasuke as his eyes dimmed and eventually went blind. Itachi couldn't breathe, he couldn't see, and his body had said that enough was enough. Itachi stumbled towards Sasuke, the crimson Susanoo enveloping both of them at the same time. He heard Sasuke's breathing. He raised his hand and found Sasuke's face. He touched two fingers to his brother's forehead and smiled. Sorry, Sasuke. This is it. His fingers slipped, and so too did Itachi's strength. Itachi face-planted into the wall and hit the ground, his life seeping out through his blood. In that moment, in that darkness, the blindness subsided and he saw a light. He saw his family. He saw Shisui. A set of open arms awaited him. Welcome home, Itachi. Sasuke stood there in shock for a moment. He thought for certain he had lost. No, he hadn't lost. He outlasted Itachi. Maybe it was a victory by default, but default was a victory nonetheless. And even if it was simply relying upon Itachi being sick and weakened, he still pushed Itachi to go beyond his limits, and to bring himself to death, so there was at least a little solace he could take in knowing that his actions led to the demise of the one he hated so much. But if it were true, then why was he crying now? Sasuke laughed. He laughed heartily at his victory and his dream achieved, but slowly, the laugh began to catch in his throat, as his attempt to breathe in caused him to heave, his lips slowly pulling in toward his teeth as the smile faded and tears began to run from his eyes. He thought he had killed what little love for Itachi remained in his heart, but even now that he had the peace he sought for, the justice and revenge, Sasuke felt so wounded. All the emotions from the day he had witnessed his parents' death on loop within his own minds were being relived. Sasuke's words within his own head were the same as those sung by 3 Days Grace. I hate everything about you. Why do I love you? But it's not much longer until Sasuke, also tired from the battle, falls unconscious. He only awakens in a hidden base of operations owned by Tobi, who at the time claimed to be Madara Uchiha. It's here that Itachi's whole story is explained to Sasuke. Sasuke doesn't believe it at first. He can't believe it, but as Tobi continues to explain, things start to make sense. In the end, Sasuke reformats his team, Hebi, into a new team, Taka. So, you plan to march on Konoha? Tobi asks. Sasuke looks to the masked man. I do. Tobi crosses his arms. Do you think you're truly going to be able to simply waltz into Konoha and destroy it all on your lonesome? Sounds to me like you could use some help. Sasuke listened closely. What are you proposing? Tobi smiles and points to himself. Me. I will help you with your goal. Skeptical, Sasuke bites, but he offers a question first. And what do you get out of this? Tobi raises his finger to his mask at about where his nose would be, insinuating that Sasuke is very perceptive. A favor for a favor. It should be as simple as that. I will help you destroy Konoha as you desire, and in exchange for this, I want you to help me capture 8 Tails in Kumogakure. Sasuke looks to his team and tries to measure them up in his head when comparing to himself and then to a tailed beast, based on the battle data he's taken from Naruto. Fine, but you should know that when we attack Konoha, I'm not going to destroy everything. I'll simply be content to kill the elders involved. No more, no less. The elders who were involved with the decision to kill the Uchiha. That's it. Tobi shrugs. Whatever you want. So long as I get my 8 Tails, there's no skin off my nose. And so Team Taka make their way to Kumogakure. As they pass through the trees, they receive intel as to where Killer Bee will be located. There's a small lake nearby a shrine where he tends to go and train his connection to the 8 Tails, which is itself a semi-aquatic animal, a bull with the body of an octopus. And so the group headed there. As they got there, they found the target, but of course, this time they were wearing Akatsuki robes, and the tale of the Akatsuki was starting to spread. Killer Bee knew why they were there, and they knew this as well. There was no need to talk, they simply readied themselves. Sasuke was the first to face him, pulling his blade from behind his back. Killer Bee would not take one nor two, but a plethora of blades and would hold them everywhere that a blade could be held. This stance seemed ludicrous to everyone watching, especially Suigetsu, who knew a bit more about the sword than the rest. But even he was surprised to see how it worked. Sasuke would be struck by the blades and knocked back. He lost his own sword in the process. Killer Bee didn't press the attack though. Was it pride? Was he attempting to be careful? It was true that you had to pay attention to your opponent in a battle between two shinobi. It was more than a battle of physical skill, it was also a battle of wits and deception. Sasuke could be feigning weakness to lure him into a false sense of security. Sasuke assumed this is what it was, but then again, that would require Killer Bee to either overestimate Sasuke or underestimate himself. Sasuke knew that this guy could body him if he wasn't careful. It was Sasuke who needed to keep his eyes open, not Killer Bee. As Sasuke rushed forward with his Chidori, he grabbed the blade and planned to swing into and through the blades that Killer Bee had. This was his special technique, his Chidori blade. An attack where there was no possible defense. Or so Sasuke believed. Killer Bee possessed a similar technique which he used to defend himself. Killer Bee then managed to wound Sasuke and knock him back. It was then that Jugo, Karin, and Suigetsu rushed in to defend him. Suigetsu lifted the Executioner's blade to catch the attack of Killer Bee, and with the help of Sasuke's lightning style managed to push him back. Karin proceeded to heal Sasuke as Suigetsu pressed the attack. Killer Bee eventually saw that Suigetsu was a formidable swordsman, so he retreated for a time. "I think it's time for the Big 8 to come out and clean my plate, yo," Bee said as he then activated his version 1 cloak. Sasuke would see Bee coming. This guy is nothing like Naruto, Sasuke thought within himself. He's 10 times more dangerous. He actually has control of his tailed beast. Sasuke would attempt to cast Genjutsu with his Sharingan, which worked to a point, but it wasn't long until Bee was up once again. He managed to strike Sasuke with a lariat that seemed to crush his chest. Knocked back, Jugo and Karin caught him. Jugo would donate some of his own physical cells to Sasuke to help heal the damage done to both bone and organ. All the while, Suigetsu would face off against the Eight Tails personally. He begged them to flee, but Sasuke refused. Suigetsu got blown back and incapacitated. In a moment of desperation, Sasuke accidentally utilized Amaterasu, which caught the beast and set him aflame with eternal black flames, not too unlike those Itachi had once used. In defense of Karin, he severed a tentacle. Sasuke then utilized the Kagetsuchi to put the flames out, leaving Bee's burned body there. They would collect the body and bring it to Tobi before preparing to leave. As they left, they set course for Konoha. Before they got there though, Obito stopped them and informed them that the body of Bee wasn't the real Bee. Sasuke realized that the real Bee must have escaped through the tentacle that he severed. Sasuke growled. At about that time, Zetsu appeared to inform them that Konoha had been destroyed in an attack, and that the current Hokage, Danzo Shimura, had gone to the 5 Kage summit in the Land of Iron, where he and the other Kage planned to have a meeting about the threat of the Akatsuki. Sasuke, remembering Danzo and his part in the death of both Itachi and the Uchiha clan, decided he would change course and move toward the Land of Iron to find and kill Danzo. He and Taka would continue going in that direction until he found the place where the various leaders of all the hidden villages had met. Sasuke and his group would proceed to infiltrate the base. Sasuke's mind was centered completely on revenge. He needed it. He had to have it. Vengeance. The Uchiha clan needlessly fell because of the efforts of Danzo Shimura. If Danzo had not interfered, Itachi would have managed to stop the Uchiha clan uprising without killing a single member. But it was Danzo who had betrayed them, and it was Danzo who had issued the order to kill the Uchiha. So many wrong and needless deaths, all because of one man's greed. It disgusted Sasuke, and he needed to spill his blood. This single-minded thought process began to consume Sasuke like a fire. His emotions were flooded with rage, like an eternal black flame. But just as his Mangekyo were capable of, he controlled it. He used it as a strength without any of the weaknesses. Sasuke would proceed to fight every single samurai warrior on his own. That was until word of his appearance spread like wildfire and forced the Raikage to confront him. Sasuke was outclassed by this warrior's speed and strength. He attempted to utilize the same technique he used to bring down B on A. After all, they were only separated by a letter, right? But he underestimated the Raikage's speed, and the Raikage began to body him. Sasuke was only saved by utilizing his Susanoo as armor. Sasuke would coat the Susanoo in Amaterasu to dissuade the Raikage from attacking it, knowing that if he did, he would set his hand ablaze with the inextinguishable flames. The Raikage, however, takes this as a dare and is ready to prove why he's the strongest one here. He strikes through the bones and hits Sasuke, despite the fact that his arm would be set ablaze. The Raikage takes it and simply severs it to keep from dying. Insanity, to be sure. But all the same, Gaara intervenes. He explains to Sasuke that he's a lot like Gaara used to be, and that Gaara had been blinded by rage and revenge for a long time. But he tells Sasuke that it's not too late to look toward that small bright light in the distance that wants to pull him free. Sasuke refuses this, however, and tells Gaara that all he can see is darkness. Gaara takes this to mean that he's not going to submit and prepares to attack him. Sasuke, however, does not have time to deal with Gaara. He's not Sasuke's opponent anyway. Sasuke utilizes his Susanoo to break through the room to the other side, bringing Karin with him. The two head to the meeting room where we get one of the coldest entrances of all time. Just look at him, hanging from the ceiling like the bat you tried to spray with rat poison but missed. Anyway, Sasuke is here solely for Danzo, who quickly dips knowing that my man Sasuke here is about to get him good. Now, I'm not gonna lie, had Danzo actually stayed here instead of running away, he would have survived. Because then Sasuke would not have only had to face the full force of Danzo and his Izanagi, but would have also had to deal with the other Kage, including a guy who carries a literal nuclear weapon in a snow globe. Sasuke would have been dead meat. But he didn't, so he ends up dead. I don't anticipate that to change in this what if either. Sasuke walks in and Mei Tarumi utilizes her boil release only for Sasuke's bacon to be saved by Zetsu's spores. Once more, he's in hot water, no pun intended, when the Tsuchikage utilizes his dust release detachment of the primitive world technique to lock Sasuke in a cube that is sure to vaporize him. He's only saved by Tobi, who utilizes Kamui to send him to another dimension along with Karin. Tobi then and there declares a 4th Shinobi World War on the 5 Great Nations, and leaves to find Danzo. It's here that he lets Sasuke out to face Danzo. Sasuke is rejuvenated and ready to go on the attack, where he proceeds to utilize his Susanoo to take Danzo. After receiving confirmation that Danzo did indeed order Itachi to do what he did, Sasuke attempts to kill Danzo. However, Danzo utilizes his Izanagi to escape his fate. Sasuke would proceed to fight against Danzo, and for the most part, Danzo was being carried by the Izanagi. Sasuke was tiring out, and this made him an easy target for Danzo, who would manage to mortally wound him. But just as Danzo could come back from death's door with ninjutsu, Sasuke could as well. By feeding on Karin's chakra, she could heal him, and so Sasuke was back up and fighting. This battle went on for a long time and resulted in Sasuke exhausting Danzo's Izanagi do-overs, and allowed for Sasuke to mortally wound Danzo by stabbing through Karin, of which he was holding hostage. Danzo would try to escape, but to no avail. In one last moment, the coward put on a brave face and attempted to kill Sasuke as well, though Sasuke just barely avoided the attack. Sasuke would then return to Karin. Seeing that she was dying, he knew that she'd be a liability to him, and so he decided to kill her, only to be stopped when Team 7 appeared. This led to a fight between them all, but culminated in a battle between Sasuke and Naruto. Before Sasuke could finish Naruto though, he began to experience the effects of overusing his Mangekyou Sharingan, that being blindness. Before leaving, however, Sasuke promises to kill Naruto, and so he fled back to the mountain's graveyard where he finally decided to transplant Itachi's Mangekyou Sharingan into his own head. For quite some time, Sasuke was out of commission, but upon finally awakening, he felt his Sharingan had increased his strength astronomically. As he attempted to leave, he found that things in the world had changed. Interrogating a Zetsu, Sasuke came to realize that the world was in the middle of the 4th Great Ninja War, and so Sasuke ran to be a part of it. His only goal was simply to kill Naruto and prove that he was stronger. Rushing through the forest, he sought for Naruto, but couldn't locate him among the many battles taking place. Zetsu were everywhere, and Shinobi made war with them. Sasuke looked around and began to wonder, if I were Naruto, where would I be? He came to realize that Naruto would more than likely find himself in the hottest part of the war, and so, upon learning of the Geto statue's location, Sasuke would head there. By the time he got there, however, the Ten Tails had already awakened. Had Naruto died already? No, he believed he'd seen him. As he ran through the battle to face Naruto, he looked down and found a dead shinobi, killed by a wooden spike. He had a small pouch around his waist. Sasuke bent down to inspect it, and within the pouch he found quite a few military ration pills. Sasuke smiled and took them for himself, popping one of the pills to give him that extra boost in strength he required. As Sasuke reached Naruto, he tackled him to the ground. "I will destroy you," he shouted. The two rolled across the ground, with Naruto attempting to push Sasuke off of him. Sasuke bore down on him harder though and attempted to strike. Naruto would wedge his feet under Sasuke and kick him away. Sasuke would go rolling. He would stand and prepare to finish Naruto, however Naruto would inform him that he can't. Sasuke would ask him straight, "I can't, can I? Why not?" Naruto would point to the Ten Tails. "Because that bastard there is about to absorb the Ten Tails, and use it to cast the world into genjutsu against their will, and that includes you." Sasuke hated it, but Naruto was correct. He couldn't allow this to happen. And so, only for a moment, Sasuke deigned to work with Naruto to defeat their mutual enemy, with even Team Taka aiding as well. Naruto and Sasuke would face off against Ten Tails Jinchuriki Obito, and only through the combination of Sasuke's Susanoo and Naruto's strength did they manage to defeat Obito and free the tailed beasts. But as things seemed to be cooling down, Black Zetsu would betray Obito and force him to resurrect Madara, who would then proceed to wipe the floor with Naruto and Sasuke, nearly killing them both. Whether it was a dream or reality, Sasuke didn't know, but he was approached by the Sage of Six Paths and offered his power for the sole purpose of stopping Madara and the Ten Tails. When he next awakened, he possessed the Rinnegan, and together Naruto and Sasuke fought against Madara, but they could not stop him from utilizing the infinite Tsukiyomi. Sasuke protected himself, Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi with his Susanoo from the Tsukiyomi's light. When the light died down, Naruto and Sasuke once more attempted to face Madara, but Madara himself was betrayed and then reincarnated into Kaguya Otsutsuki. This led into a whole other battle taking place across various planes of existence and dimensions, but with a coordinated assault, Sasuke and Naruto managed to seal her away with the Six Paths Shibaku Tensei. They would then be returned to their home dimension. The war was over and the threat had been stopped. All that was left was for Sasuke to use his Rinnegan to cancel out the infinite Tsukiyomi, but therein lay the issue. Sasuke was not willing to do this. Not until we have our final battle, Naruto. Kakashi and Sakura scolded him for such a thing, but Naruto knew that the only way to truly finish this was for the both of them to fight. But they couldn't do it there or they would hurt everyone, so they moved off. And so they returned to the Valley of the End, where their rivalry truly started and where it would inevitably come to a close. "What is it you truly want now, Sasuke?" Naruto asked. Sasuke looked around. This world is the one that Itachi loved and wanted to protect. He was willing to sacrifice everything for peace, and his village threw him away. I will be different. I will not be cast aside. I'll muscle my way to the top and subjugate the whole world under me. They will know peace, whether they want to or not. The issue with the world of shinobi is that there are shinobi in the first place. It's like trying to blame everything on something else. Wars exist not because of some reason foreign to us that we can't control, but because we choose to practice war. We've made it central to our entire culture. There are wars because everyone's a warrior. In a world without a war, there are no warriors. So I'm going to end the world of shinobi entirely. The only way to cast the darkness out of the shinobi world is to destroy the shinobi world entirely. Only then can we know peace. And so I will rise to the rank of Hokage, and from there nobody will ever stand against me again. I'll destroy the other shinobi villages and then deliver the world into a single world order. Naruto shook his head. The shinobi world has come together out of care for one another. We've already conquered the darkness. It came together to protect itself against a common foe. Once that's gone, it'll go back to darkness. I can end it. Naruto grunted. And once you're dead? Sasuke scoffed and smirked. You forget that I have Orochimaru's research. I am the strongest shinobi to ever live, and I'll continue to grow stronger. I'll simply jump bodies. It'll be an empire without end. Naruto raised his finger accusingly. And that is why I have to stop you. Sasuke cracked his knuckles and stretched a little. Then come and try. From there, Naruto and Sasuke would rush into battle against each other. They would begin with taijutsu and move into ninjutsu fairly quickly. However, they were very well matched, and so they would further move to their chakra avatars. Sasuke would utilize his Susanoo, and Naruto would utilize his tailed beast mode. Together, the two of them would face off against each other. It was then that Sasuke would take in the power of all 9 of the tailed beasts, awakening the Indra Susanoo. In this form, Sasuke basically tanked all of Naruto's attacks and decimated the Kurama shadow clones. See, Naruto, I am the strongest. Even with the power of the tailed beasts within you, you still can't defeat me. Give up and die. But it was then that the remainder of the Kurama shadow clones would converge on each other and form the Six Paths Kunitsukami. And together the two would launch a massive strike against each other. Naruto would fire multiple massive Rasen Shuriken utilizing the various natures of the tailed beasts, and Sasuke would fire Indra's arrow. The two attacks would connect, and the resulting explosion caused both Naruto and Sasuke to fall. As soon as they hit the ground, they knew that they were almost finished. Naruto lay there on his back. As he began to sit up though, he saw something. A glow in the smoke. Sasuke smiled as he held another ration pill. After taking it, he felt his chakra suddenly return to full strength. Sasuke was filled back to the brim with chakra, all while Naruto was running on fumes. Sasuke didn't dare wait. He would utilize his Susanoo once again and reach down to pick up Naruto. He could feel that Naruto was attempting to reform his own chakra with the help of Kurama, but it would be in vain. Sasuke would absorb what remained of Naruto's chakra and left him in an even weaker state. He looked at Naruto and sighed. You fought well, but in the end, I am and always have been the superior of us two. Perhaps I'll rename this valley for you and leave a statue here to remember you by. Now, go to your rest. Sasuke would then crush Naruto before dropping him into the water. He stood victorious. With that done, there was none left who were strong enough to oppose him, and so Sasuke began to make good on his decision. He would proceed to use Taka to create his own special forces, and from there he would begin to conquer the world slowly, placing each member of Taka as a regional governor of those villages. And once the last hidden village was eradicated, Sasuke would then end the shinobi world as a whole, abolishing the shinobi schools and all militaries. He would institute himself as world leader, and would serve as the only defense needed. He would eject the tailed beasts into space, traveling all in different directions, and with peace restored after the 5th Shinobi World War, Sasuke would rule through fear to ensure that peace remained. And as his age began to catch up with him, he would seek out one person compatible with a curse mark, and would proceed to train them, attempting to see what their fullest potential was. He would then take over their body and would continue to rule the world in what he hoped would be an empire without end. Honestly, Sasuke never turning good would be terrifying. Had he remained evil and had the proper ability to fight back against Naruto after Naruto ran out of chakra, the world would be a very different place. And to think that the only reason why Sasuke came back was because the Kotoamatsukami was cast on Itachi's Ito Tensei. But if Shisui had never given the Sharingan over to Itachi, Naruto would have had no choice but to seal Itachi away. Sasuke would have never gotten the chance to talk with him, and his path forward would have remained undeterred. But anyway, I want to know what you think about it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the video, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified when we drop more videos like this one. Until next time, peace out.